Welcome to another day of mobility. Find a comfy spot, lying on your back. Take some attention to your breath. Find that nice, relaxing pace of breath. It helps you find calm. Taking a moment to scan through your body. Just search for where you're carrying tension. If you have some typical trouble spots, take some attention to those areas. Whether that's your traps, your face, your head, neck, your pecs, your lats, in around the hips and the low back. Just imagine all of that tension just floating away as you exhale. Letting go of any mental stress. Mentally go into your happy place. And settling into that rhythm of breath that helps you find calm. If you've been doing the program for a while, feel free to count your breath as a means to tracking your progress. Generally, a slower breath will help us settle that mind down and settle into a nice relaxing state. But it's not necessary. If you start counting and find that counting adds any kind of anxiety, that's counterproductive. So it is optional. Just find that pace of breath that helps you relax and helps that body settle down, allow us to find the right state to heal and move better. Take one more breath here, and we'll move into a left quad release. So grab yourself a lacrosse ball, we'll go face down, and start by panning through that whole thigh, searching for where you're carrying tension today. And once you've found a good spot that needs some attention, experiment a little bit with how you're tackling that, the angle you're leaning on that ball, and then the amount you're leaning on that ball. You can go as easy into this or as aggressive into this as you want. Generally, a higher pressure will allow for a stronger release. So everyone's version of the quad release is going to look a little different. Just take a second and find that level of tension that your body's telling you it needs. So we want enough tension that we're going to get some benefit, but not enough tension that we're getting into pain or letting anything else tense up around those quads. And doing your best to keep your breath sync to that target tissue. As your lungs let go of air, imagine just breathing out tension that might be sitting in those quads. And we'll take one more breath here and we'll switch sides. So pan through that whole right quad. You may find it's tight in the same areas. You may find it's a little different because the hips do tend to rotate. Each side tends to carry tension in slightly different spots for some people. And once you've found that target area for this right side, again, experiment with the angle that we're tackling that target area and the amount of tension. And you can add to or take away from that tension just by how much you're centering your weight on top of that lacrosse ball. So you can lean into that a little more aggressively with a little more tension. You get a little bit deeper tissue release. Just find that happy medium where you're getting that sensation, that pressure on that target tissue without getting any pain and without letting anything else tense up. And allowing that target tissue to settle down always starts between the ears. Mentally find your calm place using your breath. Allow that mind to help your body settle down. We'll take one more breath here. We'll sigh out that breath. And we'll shift into the left TFL. The TFL sits along the outside of the crease of your hip. And if the anatomy is not your jam, don't worry about the names of the exact location. Just do some searching on the left side, that outer part of your hip. And a small change in position and posture can really change how this feels. So do a little experimenting. Try to avoid settling into your comfort zone if you've been doing this for a while and you have a spot you like to go to. Keep rotating through other spots that may be tense that you haven't been giving attention to. And once you've settled into that right spot, take your attention back to your breath, consciously finding calm. Mentally go into your happy place. Bearing in mind that we do want this program to be progressive. We never want to get into pain, but you can get more aggressive as the tissues get used to it. And the deeper pressure we get, the deeper tissue release we get, and potentially the better benefit we get. Let's take one more breath here. And as you let go of that breath, we'll shift to the right side. So panning through that right TFL area. Again, just to the outside, that lateral portion of the crease of your hip. Looking for what needs attention. Really experimenting with how we're leaning on that lacrosse ball to apply that pressure, to relieve that tension. And again, we want to find the right happy medium place where we are starting to relieve tension without getting into pain, without other muscles spasming or tensing up on us. Just be sensitive to what your body needs, and that's going to be different for everyone. Your version of this may look a lot different than the video, and that's totally fine. The video's there to guide you. Your body's there to help you refine. And again, consciously scanning, letting go of any tension around your body, consciously trying to find a deeper state of relaxing, maintaining that nice quality diaphragmatic breath and nasal breathing. Let's take one more breath here, and we'll transition to a left side pigeon. So stepping your left leg forward into a lunge, letting that knee sift off to the outside to target that outer hip and glute. And just be conscious that we're finding a good position that works for the knee. With the hip targeted here, we should have zero knee pain. If you're getting knee pain, just adjust your posture till you find the right spot. And then work on getting passive in that position. Taking your attention back to your breath. Working to soften that hip, letting that hip fall asleep in that position. And in 10 seconds, we'll gently get active through this left hip by, imagine rotating your left ankle down into the floor. And let's go ahead, starting with nice, easy tension. Ramping up that tension as we go. And really give it some good force for these last 5, 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse. Imagine squeezing your ankle and your torso closer together. Ramping up tension as we go. And really squeezing with some good force these last 5, 3, 2, 1. Let's let go of that breath. Fall back in your passive position. You may find you're deeper in the stretch. You may not. And if we're not, don't get discouraged. We'll get there. Mobility does take time, even if we're doing all the right things. Continue to express patience and trust the process. Take one more breath, and we'll switch sides. Stepping that right leg forward, dropping your knee out to the right side to target that outer right hip and glute. Adjusting your position that feels right for today. Again, we want to avoid pushing into pain. We just want a stretching sensation through the hip. And when we're there, focusing back on your breath. Focusing on good quality diaphragmatic breaths. And imagine the tension through the hips just seeping away as you exhale. And in about 10 seconds, we will gradually, slowly start to get active through this right side. And let's go ahead. So again, attempting to rotate your ankle into the floor, ramping up tension as we go. Really squeezing here for the end. 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse. Actively attempting to rotate your right ankle off the floor towards your torso and bringing your torso closer. Closing that gap, ramping up tension as we go. Big tension to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Let's let go of that tension. Find your passive position. We're finding depth in the stretch. It's by relaxing and getting passive, not by forcing or being aggressive. Mentally going back to your happy place, turning off any muscle that we don't need in this position. Let's take one more breath. We'll sigh out that breath. We'll transition to the left tibia. So the tibialis anterior sits basically on the left front side of your shin, the outside of your shin, the muscle side. So let's start by panning through that muscle with your lacrosse ball. Look for what needs attention. Experiment a little bit with the angle of pressure and the amount of pressure. This can be a sensitive area, especially if you're a runner or do a lot of walking. Just be sensitive to that. Just feel out what kind of tension and pressure feels right for you. We want pressure release. We don't want pain. Doing your best to target that target tissue with your breath. As you let go of that breath, just let go of that tension through that tibia. Again, turning off any muscle we don't need. We do need a few to hold this release, this exercise. But a lot of muscles we don't need. So relax through your face, your head, neck. And let's take one more breath here. And as you sigh out that breath, we'll shift our focus to the left calf. So working through the back part of that muscle, that's soleus or gastroc or a combination. Start by searching, and then once you've found an area that needs attention, experiment a little bit with how you're addressing that tension, whether you're angling your calf a little bit, whether you're stacking your other foot on top or lifting your hips. There's a few variations of this to make it more or less intense. Generally, the less of your body that's in contact with the mat, the higher pressure you'll get. So just experiment with that. Find a position that lets you stay as passive as possible and also gives you the right stimulus that you need today. And remember, this program is meant to be progressive. So if you've been at this for a while and the tension's not too bad, feel free to get a little bit deeper into that pressure and tension. And again, using pain as your guide. Pressure release is good, pain is bad. Falling into that nice relaxing headspace, that pacing of breath that helps you relax. Let's take one more breath here. And as you let go of that breath, we'll take our attention to the right side. So targeting that right tib end again. Going face down on your lacrosse ball, panning through that front side of your right shin muscle, looking for what needs attention. Playing a little bit with how we're applying that tension. And sometimes it's helpful to move your foot and ankle through a bit of range of motion to help free up that tissue. Sometimes it's helpful to move on the lacrosse ball. Sometimes it's better to stay still. It's really no wrong way to do this. The only way to find out what works for you is by playing around and experimenting and paying attention to how your body's responding. Whatever that stimulus is, let that be your focus for today. And then settle back to your breath. Find that nice calming rhythm of your breath. And imagine letting go of tension through that calf area, that tib end area. As you let go of air, imagine letting go of tension, letting go of stress. Let's take one more breath here. And as you let go of that breath, we'll shift into the calf. So the back side of that lower leg. We do want to be certain to be on muscle here. We don't want to be on tendon. And it may be tender, but it should not be painful. So settle into the right stimulus that your body's telling you it needs today. And the basic level here is just letting that leg sit on top of the lacrosse ball. Level 2 would be stacking your left leg on top to add a little bit of pressure. Level 3 would be lifting the hips to increase that pressure more. And you have to settle into whatever level of pressure is right for you today. Doing your best to continually scan for any part of your body that's active that doesn't need to be. The more passive, the more relaxed here we are, the better benefit we get. Staying nice and chill mentally. Living in your happy place and just enjoying the moment. Let's take one more breath here. And as you sigh out that breath, we'll set that lacrosse ball off to the side. We'll go flat on our backs and take some attention into the left ankle circles. And start with nice, easy circles. It's helpful here if you just lock your shin into place with gently holding your shin and try to move only around the ankle. Start with nice, easy circles, slow and deliberate, and slowly ramping up tension, not in pace, but in range. So attempting to carve out new range with each rep. Being just a little more aggressive as we work our way through this minute. Each circle, challenge yourself to find a little further depth into your range. Again, using pain as your guide. This can be uncomfortable, we just don't want pain. And the harder we work here, the more benefit we get. Let's finish with some big force, really squeezing through those corners. And let's take a breath and switch sides. So switching into that right ankle, grabbing hold of that right shin, and gently taking it through its full range. Nice big circle. First few reps, just feel out your natural range. And as we work our way through the minute, just being slightly more aggressive. Again, paying attention to your pain levels. But if we've been at this for a while, try not to just go through the motions. Really challenge yourself to work towards that end range. This is how we really create new positions of stability. Continually working and carving out new range. Let's finish with some big force for these last 10 seconds. Really squeezing into those corners, making that ankle work. Let's take a big breath out and we'll work our way into a squat stretch. Start by standing your feet about the distance that you'd normally squat at, and if you're not sure, aim for about shoulder width. Just gently sink your hips down towards your ankles. And don't worry so much about position or quality of your squat. We're really just trying to stretch tissues. And if there's a position in the squat where you start to feel pain, let that be your finishing point. And if you need to, you can pause the video and grab something to prop yourself up to finish at that spot. Whatever the end range of your pain-free range of motion is, just hang out there and concentrate on getting passive. Relaxing through those hips, relaxing through those knees, relaxing through those ankles, relaxing through your face. In a few seconds, we'll gently get active by pressing those balls of the feet down. And let's go ahead, starting nice and easy, flexing through those calves to resist the stretch, slowly ramping up tension, big tension to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse that, squeezing through the front part of your shin, those tib ends, actively pulling a little deeper into that stretch, slowly ramping up as we go. Big tension to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax. Nice and passive around that ankle. Focus back on your breath. Let your breath calm your feet and ankles. Just finding whatever position feels right. Finding whatever pace of breath feels right. Let's take one more good, nice diaphragmatic breath. And as you let go of that breath, we will call it a day. Thanks for joining us here for 5-pillar mobility. Hope your hips and ankles are feeling great. Hope you enjoyed the session. And if you liked the video, remember to subscribe and like. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.